Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel, and hello if you are new here. My name is Miss DRF, also known as Danny, and I'm a trainee teacher in the UK. Today's video, as you probably guessed from the title below, is what to expect on your PGCE. This is the time of the year where most people are looking forward to doing their teacher training, are trying to prepare as best as they can, and under the current circumstances, I know that's really hard, but what I would have liked to have known beforehand was what to really expect from a PGCE. I was kind of going into it blind, although people had told me their horror stories about a PGCE and things like that. I still really didn't know what to expect. So hopefully this video will be here to help you. So my experience is based from my university, my teacher training provider. I did a schools direct route, which is affiliated with the university BCU. So I can only give my opinion of what my first day was like at BCU. We went through, I have my list here, so if you see me looking down, that's why. So the first thing is your first day. Your first day at university is quite busy, to say the least. They will go through the year at a glance, which may seem really overwhelming at the time, but don't be overwhelmed because they have to tell you everything that's going to happen. It's a quick and intense year and you need to know what's going to happen. So they're going to tell you the year at a glance. They will let you know who your PDT is, your UT. So your PD is your personal development tutor and your UT is your university tutor. Use those people as much as you can. That is all I would say. My PD and UT were the same person, and she was amazing. I cannot fault her. She's been such a good support system for me throughout this whole training year, and still continues to be a really great support system. So make sure if you've got any questions or concerns or worries about your placement, your assignments, anything, you can go to your PDT or your UT. The next thing that they tend to go over within the first day, or within the first week, I should say, is teacher unions. You need to make sure that you're signed up to a teacher union. In your training year, you get it for free, so make the most of it. And I think thereafter, I think it's a small fee, but it's nothing dramatic. Your teacher unions will then go over like professional conduct, things like social media, the support that they offer for you. Definitely sign up. You're not gonna lose out on any money this year because it's free, and then next year you can decide which teacher union you want to go to. I will link a few teacher unions down below, just so that you're aware of them. But yeah, definitely sign up to a teachers union because you just never know what can happen. Not that I am wishing that on any of you, but you just don't know what can happen in schools or even at university. So it's good for you to sign up to your teachers union. You may feel overwhelmed with all the information that's given to you. Within our first day, we weren't told anything about placements, but then again, I was schools direct, so I already knew what school I was going to. But the PGCE students that were there, the uni-led PGCE students, I should say, they weren't told anything about their placements either. We also found out like our tutor groups within that first day. So your tutor group is kind of like your class that you're going to be doing your learning with. So we had groups A up to, I think it was H, A up to H. And they were the people that I did my core modules with and my foundation modules with. So all of my learning for that. Within those first 6 weeks, we did 3 lessons of each foundation subject. So it was like 3 lessons of history, 3 lessons of geography, 3 lessons of art and design and things like that. And that was all the foundation modules that we did throughout. That was all the time that we had for the foundation modules. Core was slightly different because we had that weekly. We had a weekly session of English, maths and science, because they are the core subjects. So yeah, that first week, well, the first 6 weeks actually, that was what we did. It was all university based. We were told about audits. So we had English, maths and science audits. It was only mandatory to pass the science ones, and I think that was based because we still had to do the skills test to get on the course, so we still had to do the old literacy and maths skills test to prove that we were capable of being on the course, whereas there wasn't a science one, so we had to make sure that we passed the science one. We had 4 science audits, chemistry, physics, biology, and then working scientifically, which is a part of the national curriculum, so it's probably best that you read up on those sorts of things as well. And I would suggest that if you've got any audits to do not leave them till the end of your course. We didn't have a time frame on ours, we just had to pass it by the end of the course, but I would suggest that you do it as soon as you can, so that way it's out of the way and you don't have to think about it at the end of your course. And we also had foundation audits, but they weren't mandatory. Like, you could do them for your own subject knowledge, but they weren't mandatory. So my next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is school. With school, I think a lot of people feel like they're going to be thrown in at the deep end, and you're really, really not. On my course, I was in school for the first week in September just to get to kind of know everything, and then I had my 6 weeks at university, and then I was back in school for placement. But before you start actually teaching at placement, you have 2 observation weeks. This may vary from different universities, different providers, but at BCU we had 2 observation weeks where we just observed outstanding practice. You observed your class teacher that you were going to be in, getting to know the children in your class. My class teacher sent me out to observe various lessons, so I observed a year 5 maths lesson, I observed a year 6 English lesson with higher ability children, I observed a phonics session, I observed a year 2 English lesson. Like, I got the chance to observe lots of different practice so that I could apply it in my own teaching, which was really, really beneficial because I was able to magpie different things from each teacher during that time and was able to apply it within my own lessons. So I was really thankful for that, and I would suggest you do the same as well. Use your observational weeks as they are meant to be used and go out and observe outstanding practice. If you're not sure who delivers outstanding practice, your class teacher will know, your mentor will know. When you get into school, you will be assigned a class that you'll be working with alongside your mentor. Now, my mentor was my class teacher, so it worked out quite nicely, but in some cases, in my second placement, my class teacher and my mentor were 2 different people. So it can vary, it just depends on what setup the school has. But yeah, you will not be thrown in at the deep end, so please do not panic. The next thing is you won't be teaching a full timetable, especially in your first placement. When I eventually did start teaching, I was teaching 1 lesson a week, so I started teaching English. So it was not 1 lesson a week, 1 lesson a day, sorry. So I started with English, and I did that around about for the first week, 2 weeks, and then I started teaching English and maths. So that was 2 lessons a day. And then the following week I started doing English, maths, and then a foundation subject. So I was doing history, and then I added in PE as well, because my mentor felt that I was capable of being able to do those things. But it's at the discretion of yourself and your mentor, whether they feel like you're doing well enough to add to your workload, or whether they just want to keep it as is so that you can manage as you are. But you are not going to get thrown into the deep end. You're not going to be expected to teach a full timetable within your first placement, so do not worry. As you build up further into your placement and you move on to your second placement, you'll be expected to teach more. I think in your second placement, you're expected to teach up to 60% by the end of it. And then in your final placement, you'll be expected to teach up to 80%. So your percentage does increase, but it is at the discretion of yourself and your mentor. So please do not worry about that. The next thing in schools is observations. Throughout your training year, you will be observed an insane amount of times. For me, in 1 week, I was observed, this is just 1 week, this was not every week, I was observed 3 times in 1 week, and that was the last week of my placement 1, where I had an observation from my mentor, I had an observation from my head of school, who was acting as the class teacher, so that I was getting in enough observations from different people. And then I was observed for my interview. So I had the head teacher and the executive head teacher, and that week was an insane amount of observations to go through, but in the end I was successful and I got the job there, so it worked out quite nicely. But that is an unusual week. You will not be observed that many times in a week usually. I was normally observed once a week. It generally tended to be on a Thursday or a Friday, so myself and my mentor could then discuss the observation in my progress meetings. So you will be observed every week. Like I say, it's normally your class teacher or your mentor, if they are the same person. Sometimes it'll be your head teacher, just to vary it up a bit. And then your university tutor usually comes out once per placement, because my university tutor came out for my first placement and observed me in a maths lesson. So you will be observed all the time. But my advice to you with observations is to use it as a tool for you to get better. Take on board the advice that is given to you, the feedback that's given to you. Like, I remember from my first lesson observation, my mentor said that I needed to project my voice more, and that was something that I really worked on. I was going around my flat like projecting my voice. My neighbours must have thought, what the hell is she doing? But it really worked, because then in the next observation, my mentor mentioned that my voice was a lot louder and I was projecting what I was saying and the children could hear me better. So it's definitely worth you using your observations to your advantage and working on the feedback that is given to you. It's purely there to make you better. It's not to put you down or anything like that. So use it like that. So my final thing that you need to be aware of is the workload. It is a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is a lot. Bearing in mind that essentially you're doing a job alongside your university work, it is a lot, okay? We had, throughout our training year, we had 3 assignments. Each were a 3,000 word or equivalent assignment. We had a core assignment, we had a foundation assignment, and then we had a leadership assignment. The leadership assignment effectively was a presentation, but it had to be a 3,000 word equivalent. Our foundation assignment was, again, 3,000 words, but it was in a slightly different format to your standard assignment. It had to be a medium-term plan, and then you had to explain how it links cross-curricular to other foundation subjects, which was quite a nice assignment to do. And then our core one was a straight 3,000 word assignment. And I will say that the core one was probably the hardest one to do. And writing at level 7, so at master's level, is different to writing at your undergraduate level 6 level. It's different to your dissertation level, basically. So that might be something that you want to look into if you're wanting to do the PGCE and get your master's credits. That might be something that you want to look into, because not that I struggled with writing at master's level, but there was a massive emphasis on being critical. So definitely look into that. But with regards to the workload, you have to manage your assignments with your planning, and it can be hard, but it's not impossible. You just have to manage your time well. What really helped me out was having my diary and my things to do list and being able to tick things off and planning my time accordingly. I used to have the same amount of time out of class as my teacher did. Although I wasn't teaching a full timetable, when I wasn't teaching, I was supporting him, I was being the TA. So I only had the same amount of time out that he did, which was his PPA on a Monday afternoon, sorry. So I had that time out for my PPA as well. So effectively that was my PPA time, that was my planning time. But I did take work home. I would do some planning over the weekend sometimes. But generally I would try and get most of my work done in the week so that I had my weekends free. If that wasn't possible, I used to set aside a day at the weekend to do it. So generally I would try and get it done on a Saturday so that I had a Sunday free. But I've never felt bogged down with work and overwhelmed with any of it, because I've just planned my workload accordingly. In my second placement, I ended up teaching a full timetable, and I was still able to manage my workload. I was still able to have a social life with my friends. So please don't feel like you're going to lose your social life because you're doing a PGCE. Like, that's just not the case at all. Some people will tell you, oh my God, say goodbye to your social life. It really isn't the case. Like, you can do this. If you are organised, you will be fine. Like I say, with assignments, I would get ahead of your assignments to make it a lot easier for yourself. I always like to have my assignment done the week before it's actually due to be submitted, so that I can proofread, edit, check it over, all of those sorts of things with good time. But I know that some people thrive off working on the last minute, so it's totally dependent on how you work best. But if you're organised and you manage yourself well, your assignments, your planning, your resourcing, you will be absolutely fine. So that's everything that I have to share with regards to what to expect on your PGCE. I hope it was helpful. I really wish I'd have known some of this stuff before I started. So I hope that it's been really useful to you. If you like the video, please go and give it a thumbs up. Please go and subscribe. I'm new to this whole YouTube thing, so I really, really want to grow my channel. I'll pop any links that I've mentioned down below, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.